So with the 2025 NBA season starting up, I wanted to talk about 10 players that I think are just not talked about enough throughout the league going into the season. And you can let me know in the comments any other player that I don't mention that you think needs to be talked about more. The first player I want to talk about is someone that's going to have a much larger role off of the Knicks bench after the moves they made this offseason, and that is going to be Miles McBride. Miles McBride is 24 years old and has had a great linear development each year of his career so far. He was a second-round pick in the 2021 draft. He only played 40 games as a rookie, averaging around 9 minutes a night, shot 29% from the field, a forgettable season. In year number 2, in 64 games, his shooting percentages got better and played a little bit more, even started 2 games down the stretch. But last year is when he really broke out. He appeared in 68 games, including 14 starts for the Knicks, played 20 minutes a night, and was an elite three-point shooter in this role specifically. He shot 41% from 3 on 3.9 attempts per game. He looks super competitive out there. This guy is going to meet you at the point of attack, and he's going to be a very solid on-ball defender, and he's going to run around with you. He could pick you up 75 feet from the rim and run with you down the floor. He shot 62% on catch and shoot shots last year. He shot 44% on corner threes and averaged 3.2 deflections per 36 minutes. Miles McBride also stepped up in the playoffs as well for the Knicks. In round number 1 against Philadelphia, he averaged 11 points and shot 43% from 3 in 23 minutes and had a much larger role in round number 2 after the injuries and averaged 11 points in 29 minutes a night. And the Knicks are really going to need him to step up this season after they traded away Dante DiVincenzo in the Karl-Anthony Towns trade. Next player I want to talk about is going to be a year 2 player in Indiana, and that is Jerus Walker, who was a top 10 pick in the 2023 draft. Last year in the G League, Jerus Walker averaged 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists over a block and steal a night, and shot 60% on true shooting, and Rick Carlisle refused to put him into the starting lineup. I thought that was going to affect his development, but what I've been seeing in the preseason has been really standing out for me. Walker just turned 21 years old, and even in limited sample size last year, I thought looked great as a defender, and he looked great the other night against Memphis in the preseason, where he had 15 points and shot 55% from the field, 50% from 3, had 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and looked super comfortable attacking the rim, and I think Indiana really needs him to blossom this year in year number 2 if they want to make another deep run. Who knows what can happen in that front court? You obviously have Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner starting, but I think there's an opportunity for Jerus Walker to eat into the Benedict Mathurin minutes, or eat into the Obi Toppin minutes, or maybe even Isaiah Jackson as well. So I'm really excited for year 2 Jerus Walker, and I think he was going to be a raw prospect coming out of Houston, but if we see that linear development, he's going to be well worth this top 10 pick in a few years. One of the more impressive second half defenders last year came from year 2 man Keon Ellis of the Sacramento Kings. Keon Ellis was an undrafted player after the 2022 NBA draft. He didn't do too much as a rookie, but last year, like I said, really broke out in the second half. He averaged just 11 minutes a night pre-All-Star break, but after the All-Star break, 25 minutes a night, averaged 8 points, 3.5 rebounds, 2 assists, and was an elite defender. He also shot 45% from 3, and that goes in perfectly to this 3-and-D role he's been in the Sacramento Kings offense. And the Kings have so much confidence in him, he's going to be starting this year. He's the projected starting shooting guard in between De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan in this starting lineup, because what he could be as a complementary defender to De'Aaron Fox in that backcourt. And yeah, he's just an elite point of attack defender. Sacramento had a top 10 defense post All-Star last. And going back to the post All-Star break conversation from last year, Keon Ellis was a main reason why Sacramento was a top 10 defense in all of the NBA. And this was not a good defensive team whatsoever in the first half. Ellis is a monster point of attack defender in the half court, but he can also put some full court pressure on you. He's a great poke out artist. He can get deflections in the half court. And yeah, if that 3-point shot continues to fall, he's going to be one of the best 3-and-D shooting guards in all of basketball this season. And I think that needs to get talked about more. Now, when you're talking about the New Orleans Pelicans, specifically for their wings, you're talking about Brandon Ingram, how he's in the last year of his deal, or Trey Murphy, who's doing the same. Maybe even Herb Jones or Zion Williamson, who broke out last year in different ways. But somebody I think needs to be talked about more that's going to be a vital part of this Pelicans bench is going to be Jordan Hawkins. Hawkins was the last pick in the lottery in the 2023 draft, and he got off to a great start last year in his rookie season. He shot 38% from 3 in his first 2 months in the league. He had a terrible December though, but bounced back in January. In 15 games, he shot 45% from 3 and 45% from the field, but then it was pretty inconsistent after that. In February, he struggled shooting, and same with March. But I think he's going to be someone that's going to be a vital part to this Pelicans team on both ends of the floor. Who knows what this roster is going to look like at the end of the year. Hawkins has had a nice showing in the preseason so far. He shot 62% from the field, 40% from three, and had 18 points in his first preseason game. And in game number 2, he shot 45% from the field, 34% from three, and had 11 points. But I think Hawkins is one of the smarter year 2 players in this league. He was obviously incredible at UConn. He's a good defender, and I think he's going to be a very valuable player to New Orleans this season. Next up, it's going to be a big player for the LA Lakers this year that they need to be healthy and show what he was in the 2023 season, and that is going to be Jarred Vanderbilt. Yeah, last year was a disaster season for Jarred Vanderbilt. He was banged up. He struggled at times when he was on the floor. He only appeared in 29 games, but I think there were flashes of his 2023 season last year as well, because in that 2023 season, after getting traded to the Lakers, in 24 minutes a night across 26 games, he averaged 7 points, 7 rebounds, over a steal a night, and shot 53% from the field, and was shooting the best from downtown over any part of his career. He didn't debut till December of last year, and over his last 8 games before he had a season-ending injury, Vanderbilt was averaging 10.5 points, 2.5 steals, 5.5 rebounds, and was shooting 66% from the field in 23 minutes a night for the Lakers. He's super switchable on the defensive end of the floor. He can guard multiple positions. And like I said, if the Lakers want to succeed this year, they need Vanderbilt to live up to his potential, and I think he can do so as long as he can stay healthy. I know he doesn't have the name value of Klay Thompson, but I think he can really replace Klay Thompson, at least on the offensive end this season, and that is going to be Buddy Hield, who the Golden State Warriors signed from the Philadelphia 76ers this offseason. So if you look at total points from the 2016 draft class, Jaylen Brown has the most amount of points, over 10,000. Guess who's number 2? Buddy Hield, over 9,800 points scored in this league. That's more than Pascal Siakam, Brandon Ingram, Domantas Sabonis, Jamal, and DeJounte Murray. And I think last year, throughout his time in Indiana and Philadelphia, did a really good job improving in his clutch ability, in his self-shot creating ability. He was a better passer, he was a better defender, and he made it to the playoffs for the first time in his career. And I don't know why Nick Nurse refused to play him up until game 6, where he was phenomenal. He had 20 points and he shot 60% from the field and 66% from 3. He hit 6 out of his 9 threes in a must-win game for Philadelphia and was a plus 12 on the floor. And he truly is one of the best shooters in the NBA. You could make an argument that he's the second best shooter in this league behind Steph Curry. And you could say last year was also a down year for Buddy Hield offensively, but I think in this Warrior system with the gravity that Steph Curry holds right now, Buddy Hield is going to have one of the best shooting seasons of his career. So since the 2021 season, there have been 7 players that have averaged over 11 points, 3.5 assists, 5.5 rebounds, over a steal a night, has shot over 36% from 3, and at least played in over 200 games. That list is Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, James Harden, Paul George, LeBron James, and the player we're going to talk about next, Kelly Olynyk. Yes, I think Kelly Olynyk has been one of the more underrated players over the last few years in this league. He has turned into a great passing big man, shooting big man. He's a great free throw shooter, and he's a solid defender as well. He's making just $11 million a year. I think if Toronto is not playing very well, he could be a vital contributor to a team trying to win a title and could be a premier trade asset at the deadline. And he ended the season on a strong note last year. Final 10 games, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 71% true shooting percentage. I feel like Kelly Olynyk needs more love as a good veteran in this league. So I had this guy in mind that I definitely wanted to talk about, but I do feel he's been talked about a ton in the preseason, and that is going to be Tre Mann. Maybe it's because of the baggy jersey, the baggy shorts, the headband. He kind of looks like Allen Iverson out there, but Tre Mann has been very good since the Oklahoma City Thunder trade to Charlotte at last year's trade deadline. In 28 games for the Hornets, Tre Mann played in 31 minutes a night, shot 45% from the field, 36% from 3, 76% from the line, and averaged 12 points, 1.7 steals, 5.2 assists, and 4.5 rebounds. And he has been great in the preseason so far. 15 points, 14 points, 19 points in the 3 games he's played in. He has shot above 58% from the field in all 3 of those games. He looks extremely crafty with the ball in his hands, and he could definitely run this second unit for the Hornets this year. He could be a great combo guard for them, and he was a good player at Florida. He was good to start off his career in OKC, but as they added more and more talent each year, he kind of got forgotten a little bit, and I do think he's going to earn a nice second contract because of his play this year with the Charlotte Hornets. So you know the annual GM survey that comes out, there was a question that said, who will win the 2025 Rookie of the Year award? Reed Shepherd got the number 1 votes at 50%, Zach Edey number 2 at 30%, Stephon Castle number 3 at 13%, Ron Holland received some votes, Alex Sarr received some votes, but you know who didn't receive any votes? The player I'm going to talk about here, Zachary Rasheed, the #1 overall pick. It's kind of crazy that I feel like the #1 overall pick is not talked about enough, and I'm all the way in on him on winning Rookie of the Year this season. The Summer League was not great for Rasheed whatsoever. He was clearly tired out there. He was fatigued from the season over in France, but in the preseason, he has looked refreshed and comfortable out there with the Hawks. In his first preseason game against Indiana, he averaged 18 points, shot 78% from the field, 75% from three. He looked like a really good playmaker out there. The spot-up shooting was on display. And in game number 2 against Philadelphia, he had 14 points, shot 45% from the field, 8 rebounds, and I thought it looked like a real solid defender over there. I think he's going to be a good off-ball defender right away. I think he's going to be a plus 3-point shooter. I think he's going to have the volume to put up good rookie numbers this season, and I think Rasheed deserves to be talked about more. 100%. He was the #1 overall pick. And the last player we're going to talk about is someone going into year number 3, and that is Jabari Smith Jr. Yeah, everybody wants to talk about Amen Thompson in year 2, but rightfully so. Same with Cam Whitmore. Or what about Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun, who are entering their final years of their rookie contracts, or rookie Reed Shepard. But I think Jabari Smith Jr. deserves some more love because we knew he was going to be a project player coming out of Auburn. He had a raw feel to the game, and we thought he was going to be a lot better on the second half of that rookie contract. Well, here we are. Let's talk about all the things that Jabari Smith improved from year 1 to year number 2, now that he finally got a good head coach and just looks more comfortable out there. The scoring went up. The efficiency went up, both in effective field goal percentage and true shooting percentage. The catch and shoot percentage went up more. The mid-range ability went up. The post scoring went up. He was extremely more clutch, extremely more self-creative with the ball in his hands. He was a much better playmaker. The assist percentage went up. The assists per 75 possessions went up. And how about his deflection percentage, his stocks percentage, including steals and blocks, and just looked more comfortable as a defender, in my opinion. I know I just threw a lot of stats at you, but Jabari Smith is 6'11". He can handle the ball extremely well for somebody of his size, and he's still just 21 years old. He's a good free throw shooter. The jump shot looks super clean both at the mid-range and the three-point line, and I think the numbers are going to go up once again in year number 3. And I believe that Jabari Smith Jr. needs to be talked about more, including the other 9 players we talked about in this video. So that is going to be it for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. Drop a thumbs up if you did. Let me know in the comments any players that you feel like just aren't talked about enough going into this NBA season. Subscribe if you are not already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.